welcome to the Film and TV channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. If you've not, please, if you can push that subscribe button, that'd be great. If you like what you see, push that notification button. Any thumbs ups would be much appreciated, guys. We're going to look at a film today that's been streamed on Amazon Prime. It's been around for a little while, but obviously it's only just started on Amazon Prime as at the 3rd of April 2022 when this review is being done. And it's called Joe Bell, yes, based on it's a biographical drama, of course, based on a true story, a true event, well, a couple of events, a couple of tragedies, really. An hour and 34 minutes. I didn't really know too much about it before I watched it. I deliberately didn't read up on it. I actually did a little bit of reading up on it afterwards, which is always best with these films, isn't it? You go in without quite knowing what's going on, and sometimes it improves the watch, sometimes it doesn't, but it certainly did with this one. So I watched it on Prime on the 3rd of April 2022, Amazon Prime. It's a biographical drama road film. Yes, I mean, it definitely is a road film, that's for sure. Directed by Ronaldo Marcus Green, from a screenplay by Larry McMurtry and Diana Osana. And it stars the main roles: Mark Wahlberg as Joe Bell, Reed Miller as Jaden Bell, John Murray as Lost Boy, Connie Britton as Lola Bell, Maxwell Jenkins as Joseph Bell, and Gary Sinise makes an appearance as Sheriff Weston, based on Sheriff Tom Nestor. So it follows a true story of a man named Joe Bell who sets out walking across America to speak out against bullying and honouring his teenage son, Jaden Bell, who committed suicide after he was bullied for being gay. So it's certainly a film based on something very, very worthwhile. Even now, obviously, it's still very important. Is it any good? What people think? What are the critics thinking? What are the public thinking about this? So these are all these scores and comments as at the 3rd of April 2022 at 1 p.m. UK time. It's Rotten Tomatoes, yes, only getting a 39% positivity. That's not very good, is it? That's 121 reviews, an average rate of just 5.5 out of 10, which is a little below about 6 out of 10, which seems a bit harsh for a film of this nature based on such a story. The consensus reads, good Joe Bell's heartfelt message and Reed Miller's stirring breakout performance are unfortunately undermined by formulaic storytelling. Yeah, well, I mean, sometimes with these sort of films, how are you supposed to tell? You're supposed to find some brand new way of doing it. I'm not too sure with that sort of critique, whether it's fair in all fairness. 50 fresh and 74 rotten. Not great. What about the audience? You have the audience. The audience are kinder. The Rotten Tomatoes audience score it 3.9 out of 5, so that equates to 7.8 out of 10. So again, the critics seem to be a little bit out of kilter with the audience on this one. About Metacritic, yeah, they're very similar to Rotten Tomatoes. Not quite as bad, but not great either. 54 out of 100, based on 26 critics. 11 positive, 12 mixed. Yeah, very unusual. And three negative. The playlist Robert Daniels, he only gave it 42. Let's see what he said. He said, a brisk film that could do with 20 more minutes. Yeah, so sort of disagree with that. Green's good Joe Bell has its heart in the right place, but the limited gaze the writer's director offered withholds this redemptive tale from being uplifting critique of homophobia and bullying that it needs to be. Yeah, interesting. The rap Steve Pond, he gave it 70. He liked it a little bit more. He said, an open-hearted, unapologetically emotional story of a man struggling to come to terms with what happened to his son and with his own complicity in it. Yeah, I think that sort of hits a nail from my point of view as well. Joe Bell makes good use of the everyman appeal of Mark Wahlberg. If it doesn't feel like a landmark the way Osana and McMurtry's Brokeback Mountain or McMurtry's The Last Picture Show and Terms of Endearment were, it's a quietly affecting road trip that gets to where it wants to go and may prompt a few tears along the way. Yeah, I mean, obviously, exalted company there, and I don't think we're ever gonna get that. So obviously, people were expecting that. Perhaps that's why they were disappointed it got a lowish mark. We look at the public, don't we? About Joe public, well, Yeah, Internet Movie Database, not as high as the Rotten Tomatoes audience, just 5.9 out of 10, so just slightly below that little 6 out of 10. Not a total disaster, obviously, that's not a bad score. And of that, if you take out the 1 out of 10s and the 10 out of 10s, 3,113 people scored it between 6 and 9, and just 1,268 scored it between 2 and 5. So that comes out at a 71% positivity, which is a little bit more like it, a little bit more what we like to see. As for me, well, interesting film. It had a central character, Joe Bell, that for me wasn't particularly likable. It sort of brings over, and I think this is the aim. I think this is the aim of the film. It brings over the difficulties he had himself, of course, with his son being gay. And during the film, there are elements in the film where he's not a nice guy. He's not a nice guy to his son or sons. You know, he is a father. He does everything right, but he has those moments when he doesn't quite do what he's supposed to do, and obviously to his wife as well. His wife takes a little bit of criticism as well for a little bit of nastiness. So I never warmed to him as a blow but then again, you I think, are his motives genuine? There's a question about whether his motives were correct, what he was doing, and the reasons he was doing it, whether it was just for publicity for himself rather than the real feel behind it was actually to do it for his son and bullying. But obviously, it did made you think, you know, were his intentions honourable? And perhaps that's how it should be. That's how it should be. We'll never know because of the circumstances. If you don't know too much about the story, we'll never know, of course. But yeah, this film should be the warts and all, and there's nothing wrong with that. We all have demons. We all make mistakes, and we all perhaps at times do things we're a little bit ashamed of. So for me, I got a feeling Joe Bell did this walk, yeah, perhaps for a little, the publicity side appealed to him, but also he was sort of attempting to battle some inner demons, and one way of doing that was to be alone and think about what you do. I mean, obviously, I do a lot of thinking when I work and walk and do various things. I do a quite mundane job, so I do a lot of thinking. If you're on your own, it's sometimes a good thing, it's sometimes a bad thing, but I think that sort of got over that. And this film sort of gets over what he's trying to achieve. Away from Joe, I mean, obviously Jaden Bell, the lad we all want to invest in, of course, played superbly by Reed Miller, is excellent. Many critics wanted the story of him to be more about him rather than his dad, but I thought the balance was fine in it. I thought the film was called Joe Bell. It's not called Jaden Bell. So I thought the balance was excellent. And as I said, Miller was brilliant. And Wahlberg as well did a really good job. I'm not his best. I don't mind Wahlberg, but he's not the greatest. But he did a good job in this in his role as well. There was a few flashbacks which definitely needed, perhaps to do the story, but I did get just a little bit lost of who was who at times and when was when. So, and obviously there's certain other things in the film that you have to decide if something's real or not, fantasy or not, etc. So, yeah, it did confuse me just a little bit, but perhaps if I concentrated a little bit harder, perhaps, I'm not too sure, but they did confuse me. I mean, the film basically tells of tragedies and should be appreciated for that. It's a sad tale. And yes, not an overly deep telling of a story, but I think it gets over the main points of what it's trying to do. I think it does what it says on the box within the limits of obviously the budget of this film, etc. And that I don't have any qualms at all of the fact that this hasn't been done in a way that we perhaps know a little bit more. And as I said, it made me go out and find out a little bit more about the two guys, about Jaden and his dad. It made me go out and read a little bit as well, which is always good in a film. I like that in a film. Obviously, not everyone would do that, but that's how I like to approach after I've watched a film and go and find out a bit more about the true story. Certainly with this one, because there was a couple of surprises in it I didn't expect. I didn't sort of know. And obviously they only came about as you watch the film, which is how it should be, unless you really know the story intimately before you watch the film. So I thought it was a good film. I'm going to give it a very watchable rating. I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. So I was sort of hovering around 6, but I thought no, because I say the film for me sort of worked as it was supposed to. I think, as I say, and some of the critics, I think are slightly wrong in what they're saying. I just thought it worked for what it was. So I'm going to give it I say it's not the greatest film in the world. Don't get me wrong. It's not going to, but it tells an important story and it tells it very poignantly and very well, I think. So I'm going to give it 6.5 out of 10. Let me know what you think, guys. Anyway, as I say, if you get to watch this or you've watched it already, as I say, it's been around a little while, but it's just started on Amazon Prime now. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching. Leave us your comments on this or anything to do with film and TV. I'd love to hear from you. And until we meet again, I only ask you to please all stay safe. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.